the Ascends at Boston Avenue podcast. My name is Philip Boone, and I use he, him, his pronouns.
And I'm Caitlin Drake. I use female pronouns she, her, hers.
Before we begin, I like to state that the views represented in this podcast are those of the individuals in this conversation and not the official position of Boston Avenue United Methodist Church. We are recording this podcast remotely from our individual workspaces during the COVID-19 pandemic as we practice physical distancing as a church community. Around this time of year is when I am listening incessantly to Christmas music. We all have Christmas songs that we love, and we have those that we don't like so much. In today's podcast, Caitlin and I will be debating and discussing some of our favorite and least favorite religious and secular Christmas songs. Hi, Caitlin.
Hey, Philip. I'm so excited to tell you where you're wrong about Christmas. No. I think starting off, it's probably important to note that Christmas songs are deeply personal. They're going to be attached to our experiences or our memories that we make around this season. So, for example, for me, I love the song Little Drummer Boy, not for any theological reasons or even for any musical reasons, but because it was my grandfather's favorite Christmas song. And because it was my grandfather's favorite Christmas song, it's my mom's favorite Christmas song. So I love it just for those reasons. And I'm sure that there are going to be songs that we debate that some folks are going to love for those personal memories. So blanket disclaimer, we are not going to tell you to not love the things that you love at Christmas time.
I want to know, Caitlin, what is your background with Christmas music? What Christmas albums may you have loved growing up that do have that personal memory for you?
So I want to hear your answer to that too, Philip. But I think for me, one of my early Christmas memories, I think I was in elementary school. We got an Elvis angel. So I don't know if anybody knows what these are. And my great aunt had one first, and we saw it at her house, and then my grandmother got one, and then my grandmother got one from my mom. And they're these horribly animatronic angels that move around a little bit. They're probably 2 or 3 feet tall. They're ginormous. They're impossible to store. And they have a little cassette player underneath them with some pre-recorded Christmas music. And so this tacky angel full of Christmas music is totally a childhood memory to me. And it's so tacky, and I want one for my own home now. So if anybody has an Elvis angel taking up space in their garage, hit me up. So that's one of my early Christmas memories. And just my mom blasting Christmas music through the house a lot. So I don't think that there's a particular Christmas song from my childhood, other than kind of the sentimentality of Little Drummer Boy. Once I was a kind of angsty adolescent, I started leaning more towards alternative and weird Christmas music. So ska Christmas music, or I like the Goo Goo Dolls Christmas album, just a little angsty alt rock Christmas kind of jam. So I'm all over the place with Christmas music. I grew up in the Catholic Church, similar to the Methodist Church. There's a lot of singing, different than Boston Avenue singing. But at Christmas time, you'd go through the hymnal and hit, 3 or 4 of those Christmas songs. So Christmas, yay. Philip, what about you?
Me, growing up, we always listened to Bing Crosby's White Christmas album. And so I still put that on, and it brings back memories of baking as a child and doing Christmassy type things. And one of my favorites to this day is still John Denver and the Muppets Christmas album. And I still listen to it. In fact, whenever we get to favorite secular Christmas songs, one of the songs that I have is from that album. But we also, going to church, my mom was the choir director growing up at our church. So I would always sing the Christmas hymns and Christmas anthems. And then Silent Night has always held a special memory for me. That particular song, because I've always loved the candlelight service, ending the service. Every church I've been to, and a lot of churches, end the service with candlelight singing Silent Night. So I always have that memory growing up as well. Now this question can be a debate in and of itself. When is it appropriate to start playing or singing Christmas music? When would you say that it's the right time to start playing the Christmas music?
Okay, well, first I want to circle back to something that I meant to say earlier, but that I think ties into this. So there is a biblical precedent for Christmas songs in Mary's song, the Magnificat in Luke 1, where she's literally singing praises. It's Luke 1:46 to 55. And it's after Mary has conceived and she is visiting her cousin Elizabeth. And I think that gives us a good timeline for when to start Christmas songs, because it was before Christmas. And it was way before Christmas. It was way before Jesus was born. So I think you can start singing Christmas songs similar to Mary as early as you feel Christmas joy. So for me, sometimes that's right after Halloween ends. For some households, that might not be until Christmas Eve and when you're in the 12 days of Christmas. So that's just my opinion, but I think I'm right.
So your opinion is whenever people feel like they need some Christmas spirit and they can listen to it whenever they want. I'm of the same mindset. I definitely start before Thanksgiving. I don't know if I've ever waited till Thanksgiving to listen to Christmas music. This year I started in October, just listening to it. Sometimes I'll decide in July, hey, today I want to have a little Christmas spirit in July, and I'll listen to Christmas music for the day. So there is no right or wrong time, which when to listen to Christmas music is kind of a debate amongst many people. But Caitlin and I are here to say, listen to it whenever you want to. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think that some people might start to feel a little frustrated when they go to the grocery store and hear Christmas music piped in on November 1st. And so I think that there's a difference between when you personally choose to enjoy your music and when you start making your music kind of out in public spaces more aggressively, I guess. And so I know when people feel cranky that Thanksgiving doesn't get its due, or that we haven't even experienced Advent and we're already leaning into Christmas. So I get it, and all opinions are valid on the Christmas music debate, but I think listen when it brings you joy.
Well, let's get into our conversation about favorite and least favorite. We're going to start with our favorite Christmas songs and then end with our least favorite. So let's begin with our favorite religious Christmas songs. Caitlin, what are your favorite religious songs?
So I have always loved We Three Kings. I don't know why. But this is my controversial addendum. I don't super love the Bare Naked Ladies version, which I know is some people's favorite. But I think it just plays too much with a very classic and beautiful melody. So I love We Three Kings. I also really enjoy Sufjan Stevens' Christmas music, and his Christmas album actually has some songs that aren't traditionally considered Christmas songs, but are more just regular old hymns. So Sufjan Stevens' Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing and Holy, Holy, Holy are just beautiful. They're really, they're more in minor chords. So it just speaks to a different kind of Christmas experience that isn't the same kind of pep and energy that maybe Jingle Bells would be. And so it's a more contemplative Christmas music experience. So that's where I lean, religious wise. We'll see that I get a little weirder in the non-religious Christmas songs. What about you, Philip?
Well, I want to mention a couple of yours that I found interesting real quickly. And I was going to mention this earlier about what is a Christmas song, because many songs, there's a debate about Christmas movies, about what makes a Christmas movie. And the same debate isn't really done for Christmas songs, but could be, especially when we get into religious, because there are Advent songs about like come now, or come now long expected Jesus, or all the earth is waiting would be Advent songs, and Christmas songs about Jesus' birth. And then We Three Kings I consider an Epiphany song, which is January 6th. So but obviously they're all bundled together under the Christmas songs in religious songs. And then Come Thou Fount, I wouldn't consider a Christmas song, but I can definitely see that it could be, especially if it's a contemplative Christmas album, it could be considered or bundled in there with Christmas songs. My favorite religious ones are What Child Is This? And I will mention this a couple of times because I love music. I love songs based on the melody. That is what brings me into a song, is the tune, the hymn tune that we sing with the words. And I also love the words as well, but the hymn is, or the tune is really what brings me to that song. And What Child Is This? The tune of Greensleeves, I think, is gorgeous, and I absolutely love singing that song. But that is also one that could be considered a Christmas and Epiphany song all in once, because there is a verse about bringing him frankincense and myrrh. So they're combining it into that one song. And
I also love What Child Is This? I think it is a beautiful arrangement. Look, Philip, we're agreeing on something.
Yeah, here
Yay!
we go.
This is going to be a very special moment for the duration. I think you're right. It is a beautiful melody. It's one that everyone can sing or can hum along to, which I think is something that I love about like good Christmas music, is when it's kind of an equalizer, when everyone can participate or sing or know the words. And I think that the theology of What Child Is This? Is pretty good. It's not making a lot of leaps outside of the nativity narrative, or outside of how we know Jesus. So I think thumbs up on What Child Is This?
Yes.
What are your other favorites?
I love Little Drummer Boy Peace on Earth, which is by Bing Crosby and David Bowie, that they did in the 70s for a holiday or a Christmas special. And I love that song. I didn't fully know whether to put it in favorite religious or favorite secular, because my least favorite part of the song is Little Drummer Boy, because that's one of my least favorite songs, which we will discuss when we talk about least favorite religious. But I love the peace on earth aspect of it, which could be considered religious, especially when we think of Jesus as the Prince of Peace and the peace aspect. But other than that, doesn't have religious annotations to it. But Little Drummer Boy Peace on Earth, I love the combination of those two songs, and I like listening to Bing Crosby and David Bowie sing that duet. And then the third one is called Joseph's Song by Michael Card, which has always been one of my favorites. I've sung it a few times in church, and it's one of those that's a beautiful melody, and it's about Jesus singing about Joseph singing about his newborn baby. And it's one of my favorite songs as well. And we did ask the staff, the Boston Avenue staff, and some of the youth. Alicia and I also both asked the youth what some of their favorite religious songs were. So we're going to kind of name those off and see if you have any thoughts about it or about particular songs that they chose. Joy to the World was on there. Oh Holy Night was voted twice. And you can stop me if you ever have a comment that you would like to share. Lo, How a Rose Are Blooming was on there. That's one of those that I enjoy because I feel like it has a beautiful melody to it. We have a few that are particular artists, which I can 100% understand, because there are songs that I love, but it's basically just one artist version of it. And so we have a few of those. We have O Come All Ye Faithful by Luther Vandross. O Holy Night by Mariah Carey. Do You Hear What I Hear by Whitney Houston. Mary, Did You Know? Either by Pentatonix or Mark Lowry. Angels We Have Heard on High, O Come, Emmanuel, We Three Kings, which is what you had mentioned. God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen by Bare Naked Ladies. Is that the one that's also We Three Kings?
Now I don't know. Now I have doubts.
I feel like that's the one that's combined, but I might be mistaken.
You might be right. I think that's
I also could be wrong. Oh, Come All Ye Faithful. Oh, God Rest. Yeah, I wrote on here. God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen / We Three Kings by Bare Naked Ladies. And then one of them, Breath of Heaven, which was interesting. I wanted to listen to all the ones that they picked, and Breath of Heaven is one that I've never really liked. And I listened to it yesterday, and I did like it. And I had never liked it before. So it was, but as I was listening, I was like, okay, this is a nice song. And that's the one by obviously Amy Grant. And then one youth said Silent Night when we asked the youth, and it was because their dad used to sing it as a lullaby in English and German every night. So that goes back to your discussion about it being very personal. Yeah. And yes, so that's what our the Boston Avenue staff and the youth have said. Do you have any comments about any of those?
I mean, some of those are also going to appear in the least favorite column. So it'll be exciting when we get to that point. I think there are maybe 3 songs that if you kind of trace across, you see that they're on both lists. And I think, again, that speaks to the very personal nature of how we experience our Christmas music. The other thing that for our listeners, if you want to explore these songs, we've created 2 playlists on Spotify. So there's a playlist Philip created that is the favorite Christmas songs of the Boston Avenue staff. So if you search for that, you should be able to find it. It's about 30 songs. And you can kind of listen and see which ones you agree with, which ones you would have put on the list, or, which ones you maybe would have left off. So check out the favorite Christmas songs. There's also least favorite songs too. And
the links to the Spotify playlist will be in our description of this podcast. So you can just click on those links and be good. Okay, you ready to go into favorite secular?
Yes.
What are your favorites?
This is where I start to get a little weirder, guys. I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. It's sweet and over the top and ridiculous and weird. And I know every word to that darn song. And if I hear it come, I'm belting that whole song out. It is a joy and a classic. And I love that it has Oklahoma ties. So that's one of my favorites. I love Winter Song by Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson. I love the chords and the melody and kind of the sadness that is built into that song. I also love Oi to the World by No Doubt. It's a very ska sounding piece. It's so fun. And then if you like, I typically like rougher Christmas music, less polished Christmas music. But if you like a lot of polish and you like a cappella, I think that Straight No Chaser has amazing Christmas arrangements that are really fun to listen to. So those are my favorites. What about you, Philip?
My favorites are The Most Wonderful Time of the Year by Andy Williams. And then I'm going to do a couple Muppet. I like Kermit and Miss Piggy and the Muppets. So I'm going to choose a couple from them. The Christmas Wish, which Kermit sings on the John Denver and the Muppets album. And It Feels Like Christmas, which the Ghost of Christmas Present sings on Muppet Christmas Carol. And one that I also really enjoy that was not on any of our staff's favorite lists, but is on quite a few least favorites. And I know my mom, growing up, I would sing it all the time, and she would get super annoyed with it, is Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. That's my off-the-wall one that I know every word to. And when it comes on, I have to sing it.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I feel exactly the same way about Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, and I too know all the words. So prepare Boston Avenue for the Philip and Caitlin duet of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
There you
Uh,
go.
I love it because it's tacky and it knows that it's tacky. It's
Mhm.
not trying to be heartstring pulley. It's not trying to drive you anywhere that you're not already. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It's also a little relatable and just very human as a song. And if you read the story about the guy who wrote it, he was inspired by his quirky drunk family. Um, so I think that that's very human. And he had listened to a Christmas song where the first two sections are all about how wonderful grandma is, and then the third verse is about grandma dying. And he was like, if you're being honest, like kill him in the beginning and then take your song from there. So I think that that's an authentic approach to doing your Christmas music. So same
And,
page,
and
Phil.
also when I was young, thank you. And also when I was younger, I was so confused because we drank eggnog all the time at our house. Like it's a staple at our house. And I had no idea why eggnog would make somebody stumble out into the road to get ran over by a reindeer. So I was very confused as a child about that one line. But I do want to talk about Winter Song that you had mentioned. And I also love that song. And it's the one that you mentioned was Sarah Bareilles and who was it, Ingrid Michaelson?
Yeah.
That is an excellent version. Another good version of that song is Leslie Odom Jr. released that song on a Christmas album, and that is a beautiful rendition of that song as well. But that's a great song. I agree. So let's get into some of the staff and some of the Boston Avenue Youth favorite secular Christmas songs. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Carol of the Bells
Oh, love Carol of the
is a
Bells.
great one as
Beautiful.
well. Yes. A Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives, which I would agree that is also one of my favorites as well.
A classic.
This Christmas by Donny Hathaway, which is a great Christmas song as well. Not to be confused with Last Christmas by Wham. Two completely different songs, in case people were wondering. But this Christmas, I've heard a few renditions, and they're all great. Then Little Drummer Boy, Peace on Earth by Bing Crosby and David Bowie was mentioned by another staff member. White Christmas, I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas, um, which you mentioned that one. I think I am in the middle on that. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. I have one of my really close friends. That's his least favorite Christmas song. So,
What does
and
it feel like to be friends with someone who is so wrong?
and so at least once or twice I'll post a song on his Facebook wall, just to see if I can get a reaction. But that's his least favorite song. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, and then the youth. There was a youth that said I wanted hippopotamus for Christmas. They said Last Christmas, which is the Wham song, and then Drummer Boy by Justin Bieber, Cozy Little Christmas by Katy Perry, which Cozy Little Christmas I had never heard by Katy Perry. However, I did hear it the other day because on Monday there was an ABC holiday sing-along, Disney's holiday sing-along, and she's sang that song, and I never heard it before then. And then a couple said Carol of the Bells, Run Run Rudolph. And so we have a lot of those. Do you have any thoughts about those? Any more of those? Okay. Let's go. I feel like this will get more discussions amongst us,
This
amongst
is
you
where
and
the
me.
controversy is going to
This
start.
when we get into the least favorite, Caitlin and I, there are some songs that Caitlin does not like that I do like. So I'm excited to get this is really where the debating starts. So we're gonna do least favorite religious. What do you have?
All right. Mary, did you know? I hate it. I can't, y'all. And I'm also very not into Coventry Carol. I think that's less debatable. It's lovely sounding, but it's definitely about the massacre of the innocents. And that's not really where I pull my Christmas joy from. So I know that Mary, did you know is the hot debate point. This is something Philip and I have been debating for a while
That
now.
song is really what kind of probably gave us the idea to do this podcast, because at least the last Christmas and probably the one before that, we've been off and on debating this song. So
Can I
why
lead with why it's bad? Yeah.
do you not like it?
So first of all, I think that it is theologically unsound. Mary did know a whole lot. And if Mary's Magnificat tells us anything, it's that she anticipated a whole lot. So it feels deeply mansplaining. Just kind of gross on that. I don't love the here's where I'm going to get real controversial. My least favorite version is the pentatonics version. I don't really like pentatonics. I think they're too clean. I think they're too precise. It's like if you had robots singing. I just don't love it. So I think that there are a lot of arrangements of Mary Did You Know that just don't appeal to me. But I think at its root, it's that it doesn't theologically seem very sound. It is pretty mansplaining. And I think that the role of Mary gets diminished and not enhanced by this song. And some of this probably comes from my Catholic background, where Mary has a much more prominent place within just kind of the daily life of the church, saying Hail Marys, a lot more reverence for Mary. And so I think that Mary Did You Know really diminishes the faith that she had, the expectations that she had, the knowledge that she had. For her to be this vessel for Jesus was not a passive thing. It was a very faithful thing. And so I feel like Mary Did You Know really diminishes that. So I don't love it. And when Philip defends it, sorry, Philip, but you're a man. So then it just feels extra mansplaining. So now I've set you up for failure. Defend.
Actually, my first comment was, as a man, I really don't want to now get into this topic after hearing what you had to say, but I will anyways, because I came ready to debate the song. First of all, I'm not offended that you don't dislike the song, but I might be a little offended you dislike pentatonics, because they're amazing. Whenever I saw you didn't like the pentatonics, I thought maybe you don't like a cappella, but you like Straight No Chaser. So that's when I thought, okay, it's not the a cappella version, because I love both of them. And I think the pentatonics versions of songs are wonderful. So really, I probably would rather debate that right now, but I won't. Mary Did You Know? I have a few reasons I love the song. First of all, the song is in a minor key. And I've mentioned that I start loving a song because of the hymn or the hymn tune. And this song is in a minor key, and I love songs that are in minor keys. With the minor key, that means it has there's a sad, somber feeling to it. Which is why Good Friday songs are always my favorite, because they're always in minor keys.
Can I jump in, Philip? Because I tend to also like songs in minor keys, but I feel like that is part of the mismatch of this song, right? That it is more of a sad or a grief or a contemplative in how you experience that music. But for Mary, carrying Jesus and that act of faith and in the Magnificat was such an act of joy.
But to me, it's the dissonance in the two. Like, I love like songs like that are a little bit more somber. I love the dissonance with it.
I just feel like it's unnecessary dissonance. I don't know. I
didn't know we were going to debate each and every point. Oh, I wasn't prepared for this.
And just circling back to the pentatonics thing, I think your point about the a cappella is probably valid. I think if I had heard Straight No Chaser at the same time that I had been introduced to pentatonics, I would also dislike Straight No Chaser. But because I've been listening to them for almost a decade, I think I feel, there are some Christmas memories tied to it. that make it a little better for me, because they're also very polished in a way that now doesn't appeal to me so much.
What do you mean by polished? You don't want them to sound good? Or you don't want them to have good editing or sound like you don't want them to be in harmony with each other? What do you mean?
It's just, I don't know. It's just trying too hard. Pentatonics tries too hard.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
So the Pentatonics try too hard to sound good. I gotcha.
I think it's the harmony piece. I think that they're similar to why I like songs in minor chords. I like things that are a little jarring and things that are a little challenging and things that are a little rough. I like Oi to the World. Like, I like ska Christmas music, right? Like, who puts a saxophone in a Christmas song? Somebody that I like very much. That's you. So I think that, I don't know, I like more unexpected and rough and goofy stuff. And Pentatonics is none of those things. You know where they're going. You know how they're going to try and sound. This needs to be edited.
Sometimes it's hard to explain. I gotcha. I think the song consists of some good wordplay that I enjoy. The child that you delivered will soon deliver you. The use of homonyms in that I like, meaning to give birth and to set free from. So I enjoy some good wordplay. You are shaking your head viciously at me right now.
I hate that part. So, like, one of my least favorite parts of the song. One, because Mary's interaction ahead of that, like ahead of the conception, like she didn't really need the deliverance. Like, she was already a woman of deep and profound faith. So like that is tacky to me theologically. And it's just tacky wordplay. Like, it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit. So
I enjoy it. And I've never seen you shake your head as much at me as when I was saying that.
I have never heard you been so wrong before.
I do want the audience to listen. Not once in this debate will I ever tell Caitlin that she's wrong. She's already told me I'm wrong 3 times or so in this podcast. So just remember that as we continue. Okay. Next is, I like that it is a song that foreshadows his life while celebrating his birth. And obviously I understand the theological aspect of it. Obviously, Mary did know, and that she knew that he was the son of the Most High. God will give him the throne of David, and he'll reign over Jacob's descendants forever, and his kingdom will never end. She knew big pieces of it. When I hear the song, I don't hear it as, like, did you even know that? Or did you know that this was going to... I hear it as, like, being amazed. Like, even if someone is told that what their child is going to do, when their child does it, especially if it would be something close to what Jesus did, we'd still be in a sense of wonderment about it, in my opinion. So in my mind, it is more like, Mary, did you know? Can you believe this? Even though you knew, can you believe that this happened? And so I look at it as a sense of amazement and wondering and wonderment, as opposed to, did you know that was going to happen? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. But that's how I listen to it, just a sense of wonderment about everything that Jesus did.
Then maybe they should have picked different words. Like, can you believe? OMG, Mary. OMG.
I definitely don't think OMG, Mary should have been in that song. And then throughout, and I'm not going to really debate, because I 100% do understand your theological take on it. Now, whenever we get into it, whenever we read the Bible, actually take in what was said throughout and what the angel said to Mary, or the angel said to the shepherds that then the shepherds revealed. She wasn't told all the specifics. So did you know their baby boy would one day walk on water? I'm going to say no, she did not know that. Give sight to a blind man? No, she did not know that. Calm the storm with his hand? I don't think she knew that. Now, obviously, some of them she definitely knew. When you kiss your little baby, you kiss the face of God. She did know that. The lamb will leap, the dumb will speak the praises of the lamb. I won't say she knew that. Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? She did know that. So I think she did know some of it. She didn't know all of it. But I also don't take it as a, did you know this was going to happen? It's all of a sense of wonderment. However, I completely understand your theological take on it. So I will not say that you're wrong. We just have different opinions about the song. Do you have any other thoughts?
I still feel like it's just a deeply mansplainy song. And I don't love it. But
well, obviously we weren't going to come into this trying to change each other's mind. That's never going to happen. Especially the amount that I love the song and the amount that you dislike the song. That would be very difficult to do.
Yeah, it's a pretty big bridge to try and build. So I think you made some good points. I think that wonder is a beautiful thing to hold at Christmas time. I think it's a beautiful thing to hold at any season. So I'm glad that the song inspires wonder for you.
And you can choose to never listen to it. And I can choose to listen to it, especially the Pentatonics version, because that's amazing. Okay. What other least favorite religious songs do you have?
My list was pretty short on the religious front. I think once we get to secular songs, we start to see more divergence from folks. And I think the secular songs is where we start to see where some people's favorites appear on least favorites. But Christmas songs wise, or religious songs wise, Mary, Did You Know was really my core one. What about you?
My least favorite is Little Drummer Boy. And I will tell you, it has nothing to do with the theology or the words or even really the tune. The reason I don't like Little Drummer Boy, other than the Little Drummer Boy Peace on Earth that Bing Crosby and David Bowie did, is that Little Drummer Boy, I was in choir my whole life. And I was in the chancel choir at my church when I was in chancel choir at my church that my mom was a music director at from 6th grade to senior of high school. We didn't have a youth choir, so I was in the chancel choir. And Little Drummer Boy has the worst bass and tenor part of any Christmas song. The sopranos and altos get to sing "Come, they told me," pum, that, and the bass and tenor sing rum pum rum pum rum pum the whole song. So I'm not gonna tell anybody you shouldn't like that song, because for me it's a personal reason, 100%, because I sang in a choir, and the tenor, whenever I saw that song, I would not be happy because I did not like singing that song. And also by the end you're a little tired because you're rolling the R's every time. So it's rum pum over and over. There is one page where the tenors and bass get to do rum pum 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 and get to like do that, which is kind of fun. But overall, it's not my favorite, and it's one of my least favorites because of the bass and tenor part. And I'm shocked that's the first time that I sang on this podcast. I assumed each song I would want to sing 20 seconds or so, and I have not. So congratulations to me. The second one I don't like is "Oh Holy Night," which is my controversial take.
All right, explain.
I actually do like that song overall. And there are versions, like the Josh Groban version, I think is amazing. And there are versions I like. But "Oh Holy Night" is overly done on Christmas Eve services as solos. And it's done way too often, in my opinion, at church services as solos. And I've heard a lot of not great versions of it sung as solos. So and mostly from when I was young, like I don't know when the last time was that I really heard it at a church service, but when I was younger, it would always be played, and I just got sick of it. So I do think it's a good song. So my reasons for least favorite religious songs aren't near as theologically in depth as yours is for "Mary, Did You Know." It's just my personal opinion from experiences I've had in the past.
I love "Oh Holy Night," any version, every version, no matter how bad. I think for some of the reasons that you like Mary Did You Know, it feels like such a song of wonder and hope,
Mm-hmm.
but with a beautiful arrangement. Um, and so I think even when you hear bad versions, you can play the good parts in your head. I don't know.
It's I feel like as far as religious Christmas songs, it is really easy to not sing well. Like to do a really good version of it, I feel is more difficult than doing a good version of other religious Christmas songs. But yeah, but mine, I apologize for not having deep theological reasons that I dislike these songs. Like you did. You came prepared with that. I did not. Okay, and so our least favorite religious songs that were by the staff, it's going to come as a shock to anybody listening. We have our staff all work at a church. So they're not forthcoming with least favorite religious Christmas songs. We had 3. Mary Did You Know, which was said 3 times. I think one of them was yours, so it was said by 2 other people other than you. So Mary Did You Know, probably for the same reasons you dislike it, because it is one of those that is a hot topic. Happy Birthday Jesus, which I didn't even know was a song.
I didn't know that either.
I thought it might just be singing Happy Birthday to Jesus. I was like, yeah, that's kind of annoying, but no, it's an actual song. And I found out that I actually have it on a Christmas album, but apparently I either never listen to it or I skip it when it comes on. But Happy Birthday Jesus is an actual song. And then Sweet Little Jesus Boy, which I can't think of that song off the top of my head.
I think I can hear it in my head a little bit, but I couldn't tell you much about it.
Can you sing it? Can you sing it for the...
Absolutely not. If there's one thing I will not do on this podcast ever, it is sing. Mahalia Jackson is probably one of the more famous versions of that song.
Okay, well then I will listen to the Spotify playlist of our least favorite Christmas songs, so I can listen to it. So that's that. We only had 3 that the staff said, and I don't think any youth gave any least favorite religious songs. So least favorite secular, there are quite a bit of those. What are your least favorite secular songs?
Again, anything by Pentatonics. Sorry, Philip.
That kills me.
A big controversy. Christmas Shoes, but honestly, that's like almost low-hanging fruit because it's listed among some of the worst songs on almost any bad Christmas song playlist.
Can I talk really quickly about Christmas Shoes?
Go for it.
I do not like the song, but I also love the song. That sounds really strange. This song, I also feel like I don't know if you, Caitlin, watch these movies. Do you watch like Hallmark Christmas movies?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, because I was thinking this song and Hallmark Christmas movies, if you had a Venn diagram, it would be one circle. People who like both, but apparently not. Because I always felt like this was made into a movie with Rob Lowe, like 15 years ago or whatever this song was. But I always felt that people who like Hallmark movies would love the song. But apparently I was mistaken as well on that. I can't really tell you 100% why I like this song. It is low-hanging fruit. It's a song that's written to tug at the heartstrings. It's a song that's written to make you cry. It's a song that at nighttime when you're listening to the radio, it's a song that was made for Delilah to say, let's play Christmas Shoes on the Christmas station on the radio. It was made for that. However, there's something about the chorus that I like. And then whenever he goes, I knew I'd caught a glimpse of heaven's love with that bridge, it's a little bit of a key change and it just soars. And I just, for some reason, enjoy it. And then the very last time they sing the chorus is when all the children are singing. I will sing with it while also simultaneously disliking the song. I don't think that made any sense, and I apologize. But it's one that I love and hate.
I think it is a bad song for all of the reasons that I think Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is a good song. Like I think that there's a similar thread.
Except
They're both
one's comedic and one's written to be comedic and one is not.
well, and that's the thing is they both talk about death and grief and struggling with that. But one is emotionally manipulative and one is not. I think that it's just really contrived, like Christmas Shoes, like the story is contrived, the music is contrived, like bringing children into the song, like of course, like that's gonna tug at heartstrings. Like it's just so formulaic that it's not, I guess for the same reasons that I don't like Pentatonics, it's not authentic. I think that's something I struggle with in
I
life.
think the Pentatonics are authentic.
I think that they're not.
Okay.
I think that's part of that sounding too clean to me. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, sounding good.
It's not gritty. They're not gritty. They're not rough. They don't have any gravel to them. They don't have any gravitas. I don't like it. I think that Christmas Shoes is inauthentic. It's so emotionally manipulative, and just overdone. And so I think that is why it's generally one of the most universally hated Christmas songs.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I think it's an awful song, but somehow I still like it. Like, I'm not going to debate you that it's a bad song because I agree with everything you just said. Apparently, I want to be manipulated by this song. I don't know why.
I think you just like things, Philip, and that's a good component of your personality, that you bring joy to all of your situations, and somebody has to be the Grinch, and it's me, and that's fine.
What other songs do you not like?
So I flip-flop on this. On one hand, I don't like All I Want for Christmas Is You. On the other hand, I kind of do. So the reasons I don't like All I Want for Christmas Is You are similar to some of the reasons you don't like some of your least favorite Christmas songs. I was in choir through from about third grade until my junior year, I think. And I did some competitive choir pieces. Please don't tell Joel. I know he won't listen to this podcast because Joel doesn't do podcasts. So don't tattle to Joel, because I would like to never, ever, ever. I would like to maintain my hardened image as a non-singer. Thank you. But that Mariah Carey song, let me just tell you that every soprano thought she was Mariah Carey come holiday season and would sing it. Whether we were singing it for choir or not, would just decide that during warm-up she was doing a full solo. And that gets annoying really fast. So in some ways, I don't like it for that reason. And again, it doesn't feel like a very authentic song. It's not gritty. We're not dealing with kind of the imperfectness of humanity with it. It's very cheesy. It's very sweet. But it's kind of fun and peppy. And I think everybody who hates it also would sing along with it because they know it. And I think part of a larger theme, as a culture, we tend to devalue things that teenage girls like. So you see a lot of cultural criticism of Twilight, not necessarily for literary reasons, but just because it's something that teenage girls are into. And this is my women's studies background. This is its whole other debate. But I think in some ways, people devalue All I Want for Christmas Is You because it was sung to teenage girls and that was kind of the audience. And so I think sometimes the hate is not coming from a big place, but from those kind of sneaky side cultural scripts. So, and sometimes it's just fun to hate things that other people hate. So I think maybe that's also part of like why people don't like it. So on one hand, like I have really bad memories of it, so I don't love it. But like I also see
Mhm.
like maybe that's not justified all the way, you know?
Yes, and I will say about that that the reason one of the reasons you don't like that is the same reason one of the reasons I don't like "Oh Holy Night," which you reminded me, which sounds weird because you don't really compare those two songs. Um, but you talked about the Sopranos going like going all in and being like, I got the solo, and I feel like "Oh Holy Night's" really easy to diva it out with the fall on your knees, like getting into it and doing that, and I am not a fan of that, of just doing that to that song. So I feel like it's kind of under the same reason that you dislike this song. This song, "All I Want for Christmas Is You," is one of my least favorite songs, but it's because I don't like Mariah Carey's voice. She's breathy. I've heard it sung by other people, and I enjoy the song, but I don't think Mariah Carey. She has a great range, and she can hit all the notes, but her voice is too breathy for me, and I don't think it has a good tone. And obviously, she's the one that's an artist and makes tons of hit records and so forth. So what do I know? But I'm not a fan of hers, which is why I don't like the. I'm not a fan of this song.
I highly recommend the My Chemical Romance cover of All I Want for Christmas to You because it taps into some of that, like, early 2000s teenage emo angst.
Yeah.
And it's just a delight. So if you don't like the Mariah Carey version, maybe My Chemical Romance.
Okay, I like My Chemical Romance, so I've never heard it. I'll definitely give that a listen. Do you have any more? You probably do. What other least favorite secular? See, our least favorite questions, our least favorite debate is going quite a bit longer than our favorite one did.
Yeah, I mean, it's where the controversy really likes to sit. I generally love Christmas music, even obnoxious Christmas music, maybe especially obnoxious Christmas music. So my least favorite list isn't very long. I don't love Do They Know It's Christmas? I think that has some like really strong kind of white savior vibes. And I think it was written for a good cause, if I remember right. Helping people who are starving is a good thing. But like this whole "Do they know it's Christmas time at all?" Like I just think that's kind of a I don't know. It's just bleh. And like there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas. Like no duh. And also Africa is a whole continent with varied geographies and experiences and climate. And again, white savior vibes, don't love it.
I'll agree with you. I do not like that song. It's one that I often forget about because it's rarely played, or I don't hear it very often. But when it comes up, I'm not a fan. So I agree with you on that.
I feel like somebody famous recently covered it. So yeah, I think it's getting kind of a fresh exposure the last year or two. And it was okay. I did a quick Google. It was written in response to the 83 to 85 famine in Ethiopia. So again, and it was used to raise money for anti-famine efforts. So like it came from a good place, but it's not awesome. So those are my least favorite. I think looking at our staff's least favorite secular, Christmas Shoes was on there. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, which we've talked about. Baby It's Cold Outside is on there. Philip, you and I have debated this some before. My inner feminist does not love it. I know that you have talked about kind of it was written at a different time and a different experience.
Yeah. I would like to talk about this song for a little bit. I will never tell anybody not to like the song because I 100% understand the problematic view, especially today. Baby It's Cold Outside. was written by Frank Lesser, which he also did Guys and Dolls and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. If there are any musical theater people listening that that name sounded familiar. He actually wrote the song to sing with his wife at a housewarming party, and it indicated the guests that it was time to go, which I found interesting. It was like, okay, it's time to go. Let's sing our song. And today we think of it differently than they did in the 40s. And because we think of it as the of the person that's singing the song, of the protagonist as a woman trapped in an unsafe situation. That is what our view of it is in 2020. But at the time it was written, and it's one of those that really gets lost as time goes on. At the time it was written, a woman remaining in a man's apartment was considered scandalous. So especially if they're not married. So it's really not when the origin of it and the original intent. It's not that the woman doesn't want to stay, but she's afraid of how she'll be judged for it. Out with her friends and people on the outside. So just when they say just to have a drink more and maybe just a cigarette more, it was proof in the 40s of her thinking of staying, maybe just a drink more. And it was considered at that time to be a little more empowering, saying goodbye to societal norms, which obviously in 2020, we have a completely different lens of looking at it. And there are people, including the songwriter's daughter, Susan Lesser, that have said that the line, "What's in this drink?" was a common joke in the 40s or 50s. Like, this drink is going straight to my head. It's not being thought of at the time as, did you put something in this drink? So it's one that has changed as the years have gone on. And in 2020, it's looked completely different. But to me, it's also one that I kind of get annoyed because I feel like a double standard is put on this particular song. Because it is very uncomfortable and people have an opinion about it. However, and all the songs that have changed and they've switched spots where the man was being, the woman was singing the man's part and they switch parts, it's seen as a comedic song and made for laughs. So it's one that the double standards of how we look at the song today has also bothered me. But my wife Courtney, she and I have sung it at a Christmas concert that I did before, and I enjoy singing the song because I enjoy the back and forth nature of it. But I understand why it is 100% problematic, which is why I would never say you should like the song, because I see your point, your viewpoint as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of those songs where culture matters, right? As somebody who studied sociology, the culture around us matters a lot, and our music, our art, those things reflect our culture and reinforce our culture. So I think the line with this song is, when you put it in the context of the time that it was written, and you have some of that information about what social expectations both women and men were facing, that can help you situate that song. I think we're in a space now where, because our culture has shifted, and our concerns look different in some ways, that there's that abrasiveness of this song with kind of the culture that we're in now. So I think if you're able to contextualize it for folks, and enjoy it, understanding kind of the context that it's in, that's, good for you. I personally don't enjoy it. It sounds creepy to me. I'm filtering through the lens of my current culture, and not, the past culture. I know I was a minor in history, so I know that history matters. But for me, in the kind of present instance, I don't enjoy it. So I think that's, it's a valid position to have either way you come down on the song, as long as you respect what other people see and experience, and respect the boundaries that they set if they have them. I also think that because it's a song that is in that category of some people have some legitimate criticisms, even while some people have some legitimate defenses, that you probably shouldn't, sing it in worship anyway, but you also probably shouldn't center, it as the main thing in your Christmas production, or, that it probably shouldn't be your central Christmas song, because it's not going to fall the same way to all people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it's one that's hotly debated. And I feel like it's also one that, kind of like Mary Did You Know, that's really been hotly debated over the last 5 years. That before that, it really wasn't, at least not that I remember. And then it just started, the debates started happening. And my least favorite secular, we mentioned All I Want for Christmas Is You. Another one that I do not like is Here Comes Santa Claus. And the reason is because I do not like my secular Christmas and my religious Christmas to mix. So whenever they're singing about Santa Claus and they bring "We're All God's Children," that makes everything bright. I do not want a nativity with a Santa Claus kneeling at the manger. I do not want a song that is bringing the two together. I love my secular Christmas. I love my religious Christmas. I want them separate, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think so. Let's give thanks to the Lord above, because Santa Claus comes tonight. What? God and Santa are not the same thing. And I think that it's, again, kind of bad theology. I've heard some folks talk about how Santa and God, if you teach your kids about Santa and then they find out that Santa is not real, that it can then lead them to questioning God, right? Because they're kind of in the same magical bearded white men category. I don't really agree with that. I think that either means that your Christian teaching is lazy, or that your Santa explaining is bad. I think that it is kind of a cop-out. But I understand the parallel. And I think that culturally, when we lump them together, we're certainly not serving ourselves, either as people of faith or as people of Christmas. So I'm right there with you. I do love Gene Autry, though.
I do like Gene Autry.
And it's got a great beat. It is a classic. Just
really, I like it until it's weird because I like it until the Lord above. I like it until that part, which, as someone who works in the church, that's odd to say. But I like it as a secular Christmas song. And I feel like now we're mixing it into religious and secular, and I don't want that. I love Gene Autry's version also of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I do enjoy listening to Gene Autry, and I enjoy that song. I enjoy 75% of that song, but not all together. And we had a few more that the staff said. Sleigh Ride was said, and that is because Blair actually said Sleigh Ride because she always played it in band. So that's another one that is, and she's percussion, so it's probably the same, either the sleigh bells or whatever, that she was not a big fan of. So that's one of those that it goes back to your experience with that song. We have "Oh Christmas Tree" and "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" were said as well. 12 Days of Christmas and "Last Christmas" were also said. So those are our favorite and least favorite. Do you have anything else to add?
I just want to add in, I'm a little shocked that the Chipmunk song did not appear on somebody's least favorite, because I know that is one that is often universally scorned, if only because of the high, squeaky chipmunk voices. My husband,
I love that song.
He worked in retail for a lot of his teenage years, and he hates this song because the store that he worked at would play the Christmas Chipmunks music on loop. And so again, that kind of personal experience, I think it's a delight. So maybe that's controversial. I like annoying Christmas songs, if I have indicated anything on this podcast. So there's that. So anyway, I'm shocked that it wasn't on someone's least favorite list. I honestly think it's a great song. Chipmunks Christmas cheer is great. Me, I want a hula hoop. Classic line.
And I will say that I will remind everyone that we do have the Spotify playlist of favorite and least favorite Christmas songs. The links to those will be in the description. I will say for the least favorite songs, I did find the least annoying of the least favorite versions. Since you will hopefully be listening to it. Christmas Shoes is on there as least favorite. I think it was only that I've never heard if it was covered, and I don't know if any covers would be any better than the. I feel like it's all going to be the same basically. So it's that one version. But like 12 Days of Christmas was on there. Like I said, I found the Muppets version because the John Denver and the Muppets because I think their version is a delight because like I mentioned before, I like all things Muppets. But we hope that you listen to our favorite and our least favorite and of Christmas songs that the staff and the youth gave. Caitlin, do you have anything else to add?
Just that even though I told Philip that he was wrong, doesn't mean I don't care about him deeply as a coworker or think that he is often right about things. And I don't want to be cast as the Grinch following, maybe a little bit of Grinchiness, but I too have a heart for Christmas and am full of grace and kindness. Even if I did tell Philip he was wrong. And sometimes somebody's got to tell him that.
And remember that I never once told Caitlin she was wrong because her opinions are valid. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Ascends at Boston Avenue podcast. Our producer is Alicia Urban. Our theme music was composed and performed by Wyatt Smith. Boston Avenue United Methodist Church is a progressive historic church located in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma. Please visit our social media platforms for more information on what's going on at Boston Avenue UMC. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you.